The 1% to 3% regime in Georgia is a trap, and many people don't realize how it is a trap. However, with this video, I will go over exactly how Georgia traps you with low headline tax rates, and why it may be more interesting to open an LLC. Hello and welcome back to the Traveling Report. Today we're going over the difference between a small to medium-sized enterprise or micro-entrepreneur tax status versus the LLC setup that Georgia has, and how realistically in Georgia you have a much better time with the LLC transfers than you do with the 1% to 3% tax regime. So, of course, I've lived in Georgia roughly 2 years. Off and on, I have banked here, I have opened companies here. I've opened companies with the 1% tax regime. I'm going to open an LLC here very soon to show you the process, as it is extremely cheap. However, when it comes to LLC tax rates, right, the headline is 20%. You pay 5% in dividends and 15% in corporation tax. Now, this is actually not bad. Realistically speaking, this is some of the lowest tax rates for corporations in the world. Of course, it's not zero. However, it's realistically very close to the lowest headline corporate income tax rate in the world. However, what many lawyers and what many accountants won't say online or most places is foreign income, if you are not based in Georgia, is not taxable. And so, with the LLC setup, they mirrors the Estonian model, and they mirrors how distribution works on the Estonian model. So what does this mean? If you are trying to defer taxes, especially as a US citizen, or you're trying to create a structure, well, this means that, first of all, no corporate income tax on foreign earned income. So what does this mean? If you are running operations outside of Georgia and you are not at all based in Georgia, so you just have a company here, then you are eligible for the baseline LLC tax rates being only the 5% dividend tax. Now, you may ask, well, if you're a micro-entrepreneur, why would you pay 5% versus 3 or 1? And the reason why, first of all, it's uncapped. So you can earn $10 million and it's still at 5%. However, beyond that, any reinvestment you do into your company is not considered taxable. And so you don't even have to take the money out. And realistically, what Georgia considers to be a business expense is much more lenient than it would be in the West. And this is something that's realistically very positive for those looking to hold their money in Georgia. Now, additionally, something that I will go over in more detail, Georgia has a large amount of tax treaties and a large amount of free trade agreements. And so this just adds an extra bonus on top of already low tax rates. And additionally, it adds a large amount of optionality because it is not considered it's not a normal black hole for taxation. As if it were a black hole for taxation, there would not be any tax treaties. Georgia has some of the most extensive tax treaties in the region. It has tax treaties with the US. It has tax treaties with a lot of EU member states. It has tax treaties with China, all sorts of countries. And of course, I'll go over why specifically China is very crucial to look out for in Georgia, and how Georgia will continue forwards. However, if you are looking at this from a structural standpoint in business operations day to day, you are looking at a country that is extremely simplified in tax regime. You are looking at a small dividend tax relative to what other countries would charge, withholding taxes, the dividend tax, as well as it's a dividend withholding tax, being at 5% is one of the lowest dividend taxes in the world. And so you get one of the lowest corporate income taxes, one of the lowest dividend taxes. However, why do I say that this is a bona factor to the 1 and 3% regime? Well, the 1 and 3% regime is on gross revenue. And so, of course, if you're a digital nomad or you're looking for a place, perhaps park a little bit of money, but you don't want to spend time or whatever else, yeah, it's a decent regime. If you're earning, let's say $500,000 max, as that's when the 3% regime caps off. But with that, you're not able to retain that to reinvest. And so instead of taking a salary, you could just reinvest it into your business. You could just realistically chop up what you spend on the whole regime. And instead, you can get your effective tax rates down to the single digits, low single digits, even as an American. And of course, when I say this, I'm not giving you tax advice. Of course, reach out to an accountant in Georgia if you are looking to create a structure here. As first of all, it's not expensive. Second of all, realistically, what you are on the hook for is a large amount of the cost being mitigated in your specific instance. Georgians are very good at understanding how to mitigate tax, and it's one of the best places I've been for accounting, realistically, periods. And of course, I will be working with an accountant here. So if you are looking to create a business, an LLC, in Georgia, and you want my accountant or my lawyer, feel free to reach out, book a call, one-on-one, absolutely free, down in the description below. There's a Calendly link, and you can speak to me directly. That said, if you liked this video, feel free to like it. If you really like this video, feel free to share it with your friends. If you are looking to join me on the journey of internationalization and globalization, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. This has been the Traveling Report, signing off.